Yep. Okay.
Okay.
So a quick bit about myself, right? I've been in the design and creative industry for the past 30 years, and 20 of those years I've been a teacher. Been teaching since 2004, and that's also about the same time that I started my own creative consultancy, Mustard Seed Creative. So it's in the course of teaching and everything that I really developed this passion to share knowledge, share what I do, and to just get the word out on things like new technologies and techniques. And for me, why I am so interested in AI is because I see AI as a very interesting tool, but at the same time, my key passion right now is to help as many people as possible to get comfortable with AI and start using AI, even at very basic levels, because I see that it's going to be here for good and for real, and it's the best time to jump in right now. So I'd like everyone to meet Kevin. Yeah, Kevin, maybe tell us about your very illustrious career.
Yeah. So I'm also, I mean, I would consider myself a creative as well, but not in the same area as Andrew is to begin with. But I'm actually someone who works with words and music, right? So I'm a musician, singer-songwriter, composer. And on the flip side, the other side of my brain, I'm also a lawyer. And also, at least for the last 12 years, I've also been teaching. So these are the two things that I teach, like music, and I also teach law. So for me, this whole thing with AI started, the journey started about, earlier this year, maybe February, March, around that time. And it kind of, for me, because I've always loved art and design and graphics and all that, so AI really, this generative AI gave me, kind of liberated me and gave me a chance to create, actually create, and I can't draw or nuts or paint or do anything like that. So that was that is really for me lah. Just at a very basic level, that's what the generative AI is doing for me, or that's why I'm so interested in it. Yeah.
So what we want to do, right, is apart from sharing what we are learning, right, we hope these sessions will be like learning together with us. So the way the format is going to be, right, is we are actually going to work on an image or maybe an image or two right in front of you. So we've coined the term GenArt Tennis, right? We're gonna like toss a ball around between the two of us.
Yeah.
Um, Today, Kevin is going to start it off. He's going to create something straight out of Midjourney. He's going to explain the process to you guys. And then when his image is out and developed, he's going to pass that over to me. And then I will work on it with Adobe tools. And we'll see how many rounds of this we can do. Or we'll just start another image. We'll see how it goes. It's very, very simple and keep it nice and casual. If you guys have questions, right, feel free to open up your mic and shout it out, or if you prefer, just type it into the chat. Right, one of us will be keeping our eye on the chat as well.
Okay, so I'm going to share screen now. So you should be able to see my Discord on your screens. So basically for Midjourney, the Midjourney bot is only kind of usable through Discord. Okay, so actually I'm not a gamer at all. So Discord is something totally new to me. So when I first came into Midjourney to try to sign on and all that sort of thing, it's like all these were like barriers for me, right? Because I don't know anything about all these kind of things. But I managed to work it out, and this is what you see right now. Okay, so how any other generative AI art is the same kind of process. We basically are talking about text or image prompts. So what I'm going to do first is, as you can see, you basically backslash the imagine, which basically brings in the Midjourney bot. So on the left, you can see that's the logo of Midjourney. So now I'm into using the image, the Midjourney bot. So then now what I need to do is to give it some instructions. All right, what we call prompts. All right, so as I mentioned earlier before, I'm very good with language words, basically because I'm legally trained. I'm also a creative writer. All right, so that has helped me in terms of putting certain things together. So we were thinking as far as coming up with something first, we try to do something simple. So the thing is that you need to be specific. So if I say first realistic image, right? So basically I'm telling Midjourney. Okay, I want a realistic image, and then what, right? So of a Chinese woman. Okay, so that tells you subject. Okay, so the subject here is Chinese woman. And I can tell you that this is just a bit of an aside, right? Especially here in Asia, right? Or anywhere else in the world. If you want a specific, the default actually is a Caucasian. Okay, let me just get it out there straight away. All right, the default is always going to be Caucasian. So, so that's why I put that Chinese woman for no other reason, because that's basically relevant to where we are. Okay, so a realistic image of Chinese woman. So that gives you the subject matter. What is the subject that I'm trying to ask Midjourney to create? And then what is this Chinese woman doing? So she's working, working on her laptop, right? In office cubicle. Oh, sorry. Office cubicle. All right, so that is the starting point. Okay, so first I'm telling Midjourney the subject, right? So if it's a person, right, you can go from something very basic to, let's say, just Chinese woman, right? Or you can go into a lot of detail. All right, there's really no need to go in too much detail depending on what you're looking at. Okay, so after that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. And in fact, probably the only other thing I want to add is what we call aspect ratio, right? Which is really the parameters of the image itself. So I'm going to say 69. Okay, Andrew?
Yeah, Kevin,
69.
can you what are those funny symbols in front of the AR that you put there?
Okay. So everything else is just a normal language, right? Just English. All right. But there are, at the end of your prompts, right, to finish it up, right, you have this what we call the Midjourney parameters. So there are a few of them, and one of them, which is to me the most basic one, even if you don't put in any aspect ratio, it'll just be a square. Okay, so maybe I should do that. Keep it simpler. All right, so let's just do this. Okay, realistic image of Chinese woman working on her laptop in an office cubicle, and then we just press a return or enter as usual. So then it'll take a little time. So depending on how busy the server is, right, it takes time to generate. So it's already happening. So as you can see, it actually gives you the status, the progress, right, on the right hand side. 15, but no, it's moving quite fast now. 35, 46. Okay, so and then you can start seeing the image taking shape. Okay, so as you can see, Midjourney will usually give you, I mean, you can actually, it's an option and it's done already. Yeah? So you can actually choose out of 4 choices that you're given.
Wow, that looks great.
Yeah, that looks great. Although this one, the neck is a bit elongated, but okay lah.
And was all this calculated on your computer? Was this all crunching out on your computer?
Yeah. No, this one
Wow.
is, I'm doing this on the web.
Right. So it's all processing in the cloud, lah, not even on your
Yeah,
computer, or it doesn't
not even,
require any computing power at all from
yeah, it
your side.
doesn't. And it's fast, right? It's
Yeah.
pretty fast. Yeah.
That's amazing, right?
Yeah. So then it's only a question of selecting one of these. Okay, I think this one here. So how it works is that if you look below, there are these little buttons. So the U1, U2 basically is for what we call upscale, right? And the V is actually for variation. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think this is good enough. So I think I like 3. So let's upscale U3. Okay. So I'm just going to now, I'm going to stop the share now. Okay, so you can continue. Then I'm going to transfer it over to the.
It seems like it's just typing like you would describe something in normal language. Huh? Nothing fancy, nothing, no special kind of syntax and stuff to use.
Not really necessary.
Nice. Nice.
Not really necessary. Yeah. So of course, sometimes as we've talked about before, online you will see people give all sorts of prompts, but not really
Yeah, I've
necessary.
seen like sometimes when I Google, I see like some people try to get really fancy, right? And they have like, wow, super
Yeah.
long prompts,
Yeah.
almost like an essay, man, the whole prompt.
Yes. So sometimes that's, I guess, is to frighten you, lah, so that
Yeah.
they will. That's how we like to say, frighten you so that you will go to their website to get nice prompts.
And
Okay.
what's interesting is that it was all done remotely in the cloud, right? All the calculation, all the processing of these images is actually not done on your computer. So you actually don't need like a very fancy or very fast computer to do this even. All right, so I think you should see this is Photoshop, okay? But just so you know, if you can see up here in the corner, it says Photoshop Beta, okay? So
Mm.
this is currently beta. Okay, so if any of us here are Adobe users, you have to go and look for the beta version of Photoshop because that is the one that has generative fill or the generative AI features that are now currently in beta, right?
Is this Firefly?
Yes. So Adobe Firefly. Okay, so that's a good sidetrack. Right? So if I were to just go into Adobe Firefly, so this is the URL for a Firefly. Let me
Mm.
just copy this and I'll put it into meeting chat. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, okay. So my Zoom interface went away. I'll put that into chat later.
As
Yeah, I have to
usual.
stop sharing. Then I can find the chat. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
My window disappears when I started sharing. Okay. So anyway, I'm gonna put this URL into our chat later. So this is actually the source of all Adobe's AI. All right. It's called Firefly.
Mm.
All right. So let me just get to the main page. So this is Adobe Firefly, which itself is also in beta. And this is the Firefly website, all right? At firefly.adobe.com, okay? You can come in here and log in and make an account and stuff like that. And you can try out all of these AI technologies that Adobe is currently developing. So you can see here, text to image. This is one of them. This is exactly like what Kevin just showed you with Midjourney. You basically
Yep.
type in a prompt and then you generate an image. This second one here is the real interesting one that everybody is talking about right now for Photoshop, and that is this thing called Generative Fill. All right, and I'm going to demonstrate this. Okay, I will be demonstrating this one. This is built into Photoshop Beta right now. So they basically what this site shows you are all the AI technologies that Adobe is currently developing under their own AI called the Firefly.
Mm.
And what they do is they will then roll out these features into all of their Adobe apps. So Photoshop is the first beneficiary of the generative fill. There are other generative, like for example, they have this one here called generative recolor. This one has made its way into Adobe Illustrator. So you can actually recolor your vector artwork in Illustrator using AI. And these I'm very excited about. You can see here, sketch to image. I think this is the
Mm.
most artist-friendly version of
Yep.
AI that can
Yep.
probably
Yep.
happen.
Yep.
For us visual people. Instead of
Yep.
typing, you actually just draw, and then it will transform your drawings into something else.
Mm.
So I'm waiting for that to happen. That's amazing. And for me, right, I love 3D and 3D animation. So there is this thing that's really way off on the horizon. I'm not sure when this is even going to happen, but what's happening is you can feed it an image like a 3D model. And from the 3D model, it generates a totally different render out of it using AI. So this is not 3D rendering. This is AI rendering.
So the
So this
3D
is
is like a
amazing.
prompt. The 3D is like a
No, the
prompt.
3D is like you feed it the 3D. It's like an image prompt for Midjourney. You feed it the
Right.
3D, and then it understands 3D space. It understands the 3D geometry, and then it sort of paints everything onto the 3D geometry for you, and it
That's
creates these
crazy.
images based on the perspective of your 3D. That's crazy.
That'll be great for architects and for interior
Yeah, for
designers.
anyone trying to visualize a space, right, or an object
Yeah.
or a
Yeah.
product,
Yeah. Yeah.
There's something here that's worth mentioning is this thing here called text effects. Right. So this one,
Mm.
I've had hours of fun doing this. This is actually quite fun. Let me just show you a very quick one, right? If you get into text effects, right, what it is you can see that this particular AI has been trained to just work on type. So it's able to generate all the images and then somehow fit it into a letter form. It follows the letter form very well. So you can see all this is very, very nice, right? So this is
Yes.
worth trying. This is really worth trying, right? I can't do this in Photoshop because this feature is not even in Photoshop right now. So it's nice using this Firefly feature just to try these out. They're beautiful. They're really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, so that's Firefly. Okay. The Generative Fill Firefly feature has made its way into Photoshop. Okay. So, and the way we access it in Photoshop right now, so I'm not going to go into a whole Photoshop tutorial, right? Because I just want to show you like how Generative Fill works, both inside Photoshop and also with Photoshop. You know, how does it work, as a companion to how I would work with Photoshop. So the biggest change for us, Photoshop users or image editor users, is that now we have this thing here called the taskbar. This taskbar is like this little control bar that you can move anywhere around your canvas, and this gives you a lot of shortcut buttons that will automatically do something for you. All right. But the best way to show how Generative Fill works inside of Photoshop, right, and why it's good to use it with Photoshop and how that's different from Midjourney is to show you like I can take the lasso over here. I can take the Photoshop lasso tool and I can just do a region, I can lasso a region anywhere in this image. And
Look at her, the right hand. There's something wrong there.
oh, look at that pen here has really gone crooked. Huh?
Why is there a
That's
pen even, right?
yeah, that's a very interesting you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
writing on writing on her keyboard. That's interesting. Okay.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
she's spamming her keyboard with a pen. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, I'm going to try. Okay, I that's the best thing about AI right now. I'm not sure what it's going to do, right? But I'm going to take the lasso tool and I'm going to lasso around the pen. Okay. Now let's see if the AI is smart enough to know that this shouldn't be here. All right.
Yeah.
So then you see, once I've lassoed it, right, the control, this taskbar over here changes its options, and it now says Generative Fill. So this is the command that will execute now if I were to tap on this button with this lasso region highlighted, right? So if I'm going to click on Generative Fill, now it looks just like your Midjourney. It opens up a little text editor here for me to type in a prompt. Okay, so if I wanted to change this to something else, I would type in what I wanted to see, right? Instead of doing that, right, I'm just going to do something different, right? So with Photoshop, if you do not type in any description and you generate, right, it should remove the object for you instead. So that's what will happen. So let's try that. I'm going to generate with no description, okay? And what's nice is it always gives you a interesting tip of how to keep using Generative Fill and things like that every time you're waiting. Okay, there we go. Look at that.
Oh.
Right, it's gone. Look, right. So
Gone.
okay, yeah.
So it understands lah.
Yeah, it understands that pen should not have been there, and it understands that when I do not prompt it, excuse me, when I do not type a prompt, it means I want to remove something. Yeah. So this is interesting. Now with Midjourney, right, it alters your entire image, right?
Yes.
With Photoshop, it actually generates a new layer. So you see, I can actually turn this layer on and off, and it shows me the original underlying image. Right. So if I turn the layer off and on, you can see this is what. So if I solo this layer, in fact, this is what Photoshop Firefly generated. This part here generated it over the original image, thereby covering the pen.
So these are the layers lah.
Yeah, so it generates a whole new layer, and every time I do a generative fill, it will create another layer on top of it. So they're just going to keep stacking more and more layers on this image the more I create AI, prompts. And just like your Midjourney, right? Photoshop actually gives me 3 variations of this thing. So you can see over here there are variations.
Ah, okay.
All right, so I'm going to zoom in here and see. All right. Okay, so there's actually 1, 2. And 3. So there are variations. See, this one is very different, right? The fingers tend to look like very different. This one seems to try to stretch out the finger or something. That looks weird. These are okay. That one's totally removed it very cleanly. This one has tried to give me a little bit more flesh on the knuckle. You notice? One is kind of bony. Yeah, it's actually understanding the anatomy of the wrist and stuff like that. So it's pretty clever. I think I'll go with the center one. This one looks very nice and it's got this very nice curve to the wrist. Yeah, so that's Generative Fill working in Photoshop, especially if I were to try to make a selection. All right, so maybe I want to demonstrate what it's like for me to apply generative fill to a selection, but then at this time around, make a prompt, like what you did, right? You prompted this entire image. I'm going to try to prompt a section, something in the image. All right, and see what happens. So we got some interesting things here. Like maybe there's this nice stack of, there's this nice stack of paper she's got here.
Yeah.
Not sure if I can try and do something on top of that. Okay, so I'm going to try that again. I'm going to take my lasso. I'm going to just like draw something over here.
Put a cup of coffee.
Yeah, maybe she needs like an alarm clock, because she keeps falling asleep. So I'm going to put a circular shape over here. Okay, so the interesting thing about Photoshop, right, is that you can try to influence the image outcome, right, by maybe, giving the selection a shape. So this is interesting. I'm going to try to create something that looks like an alarm clock, yeah? So I've drawn a selection here that kind of looks like an alarm clock. So I'm going to now type in Generative Fill alarm clock. All right, and let it generate. And there we go. Again, so just like what's happening with Midjourney, right? It's all happening in the cloud. This is all happening in Photoshop Cloud right now. In Adobe Cloud, right? Creative Cloud. So they've got their servers up there. Everything is actually being processed in the server. There we go. All right.
Wow.
Yeah. So you notice how it followed the shape, right?
Yes.
It followed the shape of my selection. Yeah.
Except
right.
no
However,
legs.
yeah, and it really doesn't look very pleasing at all.
No, it
Right.
doesn't fit.
So
Doesn't
yeah,
fit.
that's right. So this is one of the problems with Photoshop right now. It doesn't seem to work as beautifully as what Midjourney does in terms of
Yeah.
generating.
The
Right?
graphic is not the same
Yes.
level.
Yeah. So let's just try not influencing it too much. Let's just create a region here, and I will not try to. Okay, let's try that then. Let's do a coffee mug. Right. Let's try that. Something that's more familiar. The other thing also is that apparently the Photoshop AI is supposed to be studying the entire image. So it's trying to create something that is as contextual to your image as possible. Ah, look at that.
Oh, that's better. Yes,
That's really nice.
that's better. Yeah.
Right?
That
That's really,
fits.
really very nice, right? With the shadow and
fits,
all,
yeah.
This one has a shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes it depends on the complexity of the request.
Yes.
The alarm
Looks
clock
like
may
it.
be
Yeah.
complex compared to
For some
something
reason,
more
But this one looks,
common.
yeah, this one looks awesome. Look at that. The lighting, the
Yeah, it's
color.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, this is like spot on already, right?
Yes.
This is spot on.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some explanations, I mean, as you can see, the Photoshop is it's basically a photo editor, so it's quite technical in that sense. But Midjourney is not so technical. It's more intuitive. So that's why it's very good for a layman like me, right? Like I said, I can't draw, I can't paint, I can't do any of those things, right? But I'm good with words and language and understanding concepts, right? So that's why I'm able to use it as well as I do. So that's why I think it is very effective for even for so-called non-artists in that sense.
Following on what you just said, I mean, even though you're saying you're not an artist, you're not visually trained and all that, right? But the stuff I've seen you do out of Midjourney, right, rivals anything I've seen like a trained artist able to do, And that's really leveling the playing field, right?
Yes, but of course it is only limited by your so-called imagination and your breadth of knowledge also lah, because I'm also a student of art history and all those things. All right, so first what I'm gonna do, okay, so this is now a different approach to what I was doing just now. So earlier on, what I did was really purely a very simple, basic text prompt, as you can see here, just a few words and nothing else. All right. So now what I'm going to do is to work on an image prompt. So in order to do an image prompt, I have a few steps. First thing, I need to upload the file into the Discord server itself. right? So this Discord server is dedicated. Is you can see is here and there are a few servers here. So it's my own server, camco.ai. So if you understand how Discord works, so this is not on a Midjourney server. It's basically on Discord itself, its own dedicated server. So you can see the new image is here, right? You can see there's no pen, and there is the cup. So now I need to okay, sorry. So I need to then copy the link. Sorry. Let's see. Doesn't see. What happened to my copy link? Normally I will have it there. That's strange. Hold on. Sometimes things don't work. Copy image address, I suppose that's one way of doing it. Let's see where that works. So again, same thing. Our backslash imagine. Then what I'll do is I will paste the link into what I copied just now as a what we call an image prompt. Okay, so this is one thing that I've tried to do in recent months is, and just to demonstrate also, so my text prompt is copy image exactly. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, just to show you that it won't really copy exactly, right? Because people always talk about how these generative AIs are copying existing images. So let's see what we get when I instruct to copy the image exactly and nothing else. Okay, so like I said, we're gonna just do it very basic idea. So as you can see, what happens is that it doesn't give you something exactly the same. It will do something very different. And some, as you can see also, some of the images come out very fancy. Okay, so I'm not sure what's happening here, but if you can look at this, right? So like you can see all these even surrealistic images that come out, all these things.
Wow.
So yeah, so so that's why sometimes people post Midjourney stuff and you kind of you're gasping at it like, wow, this is so great. But this is just based on just 3 words, right? I put in the image prompt and I put that copy image exactly, and it came out with something. So that's something I need to explain about Midjourney. It is what we call probabilistic. That means it will vary. It will never copy an image prompt exactly. It will never do that. Okay, so that's a good thing, and also can be a flaw to some extent, right? So therefore, it is not like a photo editor, something technical that is like what Andrew is showing in the Photoshop. Okay, so now we gotta decide. So I think I'm gonna go for this one. I like this one. All right, something different. So it's taken us very far away from where we were already. Yeah, and sometimes that just does
Can we,
happen.
Kevin, can we try a V instead of a U? Like instead of upscaling, what if we were to do a variation?
Of this one, of which one?
Yeah, like,
Anyone?
yeah, let's say the one that we found has a nice
I mean,
frontal
there are
angle.
okay. So anyway, there are a few options. So this is the remix option or re-roll. You can actually, if you click on it, right, you will find that it kind of gives you the prompt again. You can actually remix in the sense that you can change the prompt,
Oh,
or you can just click submit and then it will just re-roll, what we call re-roll. So let's just do that. Okay. So this is the upscaling which I've done. Okay, so as you can see, I clicked on U3. So this is the third one. So this one was upscaled.
so U means upscale lah, once again, right?
U means
U means
upscale.
upscale.
V, okay, we will return to this, but I just want to show that sometimes if you're not happy with what you've got the first time around with Midjourney, you can actually do this re-roll, or you can do what we call remix. So you can see here, still not quite right. Basically, it still comes up with this very kind of surrealistic uh, image, right?
Wow, it's very nice though.
It's very nice. But I mean, but if you were looking for office worker working on laptop, then this is what you will kind of get, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's just to show you that. So let's go back to this one here. So the other thing, and are those fishes on top of a head? My goodness. Okay. Uh, so as you can see here below, right? So this is fairly recent for this Midjourney 5.2. There are all these buttons here, very strong, very subtle, very region. Then you have these zoom out options, zoom out 2 times, 1.5 times, and also a custom zoom. So, and also you see these arrows here. So these arrows are what we call panning functions. So let's try panning left and then see what we get from this. So you see it's the same thing. They will again, so you can actually change the prompt also if you want to, but let's not do that.
So just
So
to
yeah.
explain, what does panning mean?
So panning, what it means is that it is generating an image to the left of the image that was originally generated,
Oh,
right?
so it's
So you see that,
extending it.
yeah. So, and it's what the technical term that they use is out painting, right? If I'm not wrong, all right. Out painting, that means you are generating more. So as you can see here, okay, it's done quite
Mm,
fast. So you can see here on the left side of our original image. So the original image remains the same. Huh? It's exactly the same, no change. It's the little square here. But what's done is kind of added on um, some things. Okay, so I'm not
mm.
sure what again. All right. So as usual, they will add on all these little flowers or these alien looking things, which I kind of like actually. So it kind of looks like, okay, so you can see here they try the Midjourney tries to maintain the office setting by having piles of paper. Okay, but then what is this strange kind of alien plant, right? So maybe this is like some future environment where you got virtual reality. Okay, lah, we can try to make story out of it. Okay. So let's upscale the first one, which I like very much. Okay, so that's what we're going to settle on. So then what I'm going to do again is I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to put it over to Andrew to see what he can do with it.
Put myself back into Photoshop. Wow, I love the lighting on this thing. Right?
Yeah.
Nice. That's really nice. I must say that it has kept the mood right quite faithful right to the original. Right? I mean, this was where we came from.
Yes.
Right? The color is the same. The way the light is coming from the laptop and
Yeah.
softly just illuminating that face, that
Yeah.
glow, all that is the same.
I mean, it's just illuminating the. I mean, it's just changing the fixtures, right? Because
Yeah.
before that you had the bowl,
Yep.
and then you have the
Yep.
flowers and
Yeah,
all.
it's
It's
all actually
just
there, huh?
it's there, but it's just turned it into something else.
Yeah, and even the overhead, the lamp overhead is also there, right? There's this China
Yes,
ball here, so it's kind
correct.
of like
Yeah,
reinterpreted. All the lights are still
yeah,
there, actually.
yes. It's
Very nice.
reinterpreted. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would never have like. I think that's the best thing about what Midjourney is doing for you, right? And what I find is that
Totally,
I would never have
totally.
thought of all this myself.
Yes, I
There's just
love
no
it.
way I
It's
would have imagined all this myself, And this is like just free inspiration for you, right?
Yes, yes. So I love it because, as I mentioned, I'm a lawyer. So lawyer, everything must be exact. So this is the total opposite. This is chaos,
Yeah,
right?
look at that.
For as a lawyer, everything must be in order, but this is chaos. So I love it.
It's beautiful. It's really beautiful.
Chaos magic.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm trying to think what would be interesting for me to attempt to do here. Okay.
She wears a hat now. So
Yeah.
funny.
No, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna do something very risky. Okay. So
Okay.
I'm gonna take the first image that we had.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna take the very first image that we had.
And
Yeah. Let's see if I can do that. Okay. I will select all, and I'm gonna try and copy. I'm gonna copy that, and I'm gonna try and paste this
oh,
over here. There we go. Right. So I'm going to paste it here. Now this is going to be weird, right? Because they don't fit together at all, right?
Yeah, I just realized that there's a floating hand there too, which I escaped my notice earlier.
Yeah. So let's try that. Let's try that, okay? So this weird part here don't fit together at all. So we're gonna throw Photoshop a real challenge right now. Look, this is a really, really harsh
So you
line.
got trying to blend the
Yeah.
two.
So yeah, so this is something that Photoshop can do for us, right? We can take two very different
Yeah,
images
yeah,
and just blend them together,
yeah.
So I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna lasso this whole portion here. Oh, hang on. Let me just use the lasso. I'm gonna lasso this whole portion here that don't make sense
Mm.
and see what happens. Okay, I'm gonna lasso that,
And
and then I
then
will do a generative fill on this. Right,
okay.
I will do a generative fill, and just like before, I will not put a prompt in there. I will not describe anything that I want because I have no clue what can go there anyway. All right, I'm just gonna ask it to generate for me, and Photoshop will do a best guess. All right, so this will be fun. Let's see what Photoshop actually does. All right, so I think one of the things that just to let everyone know, right? Oh, look at that!
Wow.
Wow,
So they are
look at
sitting
that!
next to each other.
Yeah, now they're almost like in the same room, isn't it?
Wow, awesome, man.
Look at that!
Beautiful. That's just
Yeah,
beautiful.
that's like this is without any prompting at all, without any direction from
Yes.
me, without any input at all. Photoshop has
And
decided this is the best.
it looks really like
Yeah,
they're sitting next to each other and on the same
yeah, this
desk.
is the best way to blend these two images. And let's be
Wow.
honest here. Let's see what Photoshop has created. I'm
Mm,
going to solo this layer. So this is exactly what Photoshop created. This in between
right,
layer. This is what Photoshop created, right? So actually, Photoshop has created the new corner of this laptop,
right.
right?
Her
Um,
shoulder.
Oops, hang on. I've done something here. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So Photoshop has created a new corner of the laptop and then recreated a shoulder, recreated some marks over here to blend.
And
So
then
everything,
the fish.
yeah, and look at that. So then, therefore, because of that, right, instead of this harsh line,
Yeah,
we've got the continuation. It
yeah,
matches lighting, and then look at the marks, right? The marks,
yeah.
they match
But
nicely.
now,
The
but
edge,
it's interesting now because if you look at it now, you can see that the fish is actually the wallpaper behind her.
yeah, it looks like it's on the wall behind, right?
Yeah, right. Then so it doesn't become so realistic. Once you put it together, it can actually be just like we say like the stock photograph of
Yeah,
two women working late into the night.
yeah.
Standard.
That's
Wow.
that's that's pretty crazy right
Pretty
here, no?
good. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah. Impressive, man.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of potential with this workflow.
Yep.
Imagine if we could take several of your Midjourney images, and then just like use this kind of a technique to stitch them together.
Yes.
Then you can create like a
Yes.
very interesting
Yeah. Yes, because the Midjourney would never be able to give you those original ones, right? As we've seen already,
yep.
right? But Photoshop can, so that's why it's a good uh, marriage lah of the
Yeah.
two apps, the
Okay.
two software.
Okay. So
Yeah.
now because I'm in Photoshop, I will okay, so just to show you guys, right? Now we got three layers here, right? So Photoshop has created a third layer of generative fill, right? So I'm
Mm.
going to take this one step further because I kind of don't like this yellow, leftover of whatever that
Oh yeah.
was. All
Yes.
right. So I'm just going to generative fill that away, right? And then when I do that, Photoshop's going to create another fourth layer here, which is another generative fill layer. So this really demonstrates how every single AI pass that we make ends up being a separate layer. So you see, I can just turn it on
All
and
right.
off.
They just removed it lah. Yeah.
Yep. I just totally removed that, right?
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So let me try once again to maybe finish this last bit off, right? I'll just generate one last time. I think that's all the time we have anyway. It's going to just do a
Yep.
one last gen on this. I will now take a circular selection like this. I'll make a circular that I'll just put a clock on the wall.
Put a clock. Put a clock that
Yeah, because we're out of
shows
time,
me
right?
shows midnight. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know whether it can do that or not, but let's try clock
Okay.
on the
Okay.
wall.
Okay. Clock on the wall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's try that, okay?
Memories.
Right. And again, I made a perfectly circular selection. So I'm hoping that will influence the outcome. And that it does. In fact, it does. Right. It gives me a nice round analog clock on the wall. Yeah, this is nice. This one fits the genre very well.
Mm, mm.
Right. This is nice. This is
And
very nice.
that one was midnight.
Oh, it was? Really?
The
Yeah,
one
this one
earlier?
was like close to midnight, huh? So everyone going to
Yeah,
become pumpkins already. But yeah, I
yeah,
like the look on this, and the lighting on this matches much better also.
yeah.
So there we go. I think that's our final image.
Yep.
That's
Fantastic.
really cool. That's really cool.
Okay.
So we have 10 minutes left, right? Sorry, we have 8 minutes left right now. Sorry, because I took another 2 minutes doing that. So I think we can take any questions anybody has right now. We just go into a time of Q&A.
I went online to search about this Midjourney bot
Mm.
just now. Can I ask if we need to pay? I mean, I saw that there's a newbies channel, but does it mean that whatever I'm trying to generate can be seen by the people in that channel also?
Yeah, that's a good question, right? Because that is why I create a private server. All right. So there you can
Oh.
actually create a dedicated server like what I did. So that's one of your questions. The other question you asked whether you need to pay. So yes, you need to pay. But there are 3 levels. So I think the entry level is $10 US a month.
Mm.
They do have like an annual thing which they times 12 and it's discounted, right?
Okay.
So $10, then $30 and $60, and of course those come with different um, in terms of the generation, how much time you have and how many they call it basically fast time, right?
Uh,
So that means you can generate because you can see I put there fast. That means it generates very quickly.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I would say I agree. Like right now, I'm not really sure what I want to do in the future. So I think learning about this is just overall very beneficial.
Excellent.
Yep.
It's
Thanks.
to me, it's very encouraging that you guys are doing this and taking the time and the effort to find out more about how it can apply to various things that you do. I think there's no one size fits all either. There's no proper way or incorrect way to use AI generative art. In fact, there are so many different ways to use AI right now. Like you guys also know Chat GPT and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
it seems like the visual forms of AI seem to be less, widely used than, like, for example, the text
Mm.
AIs. Those seem to be easier to apply. Then these visual ones, people tend to not like dive in. So it's nice to see you guys really try to find out more. And then I would encourage you to keep learning it, keep experimenting with it. I would say, that 10 US dollars for 1 month, right? Just jump in and do it.
Yeah.
Just don't buy your venti latte for one day. And just spend the next 30
Yeah.
days, playing and,
Yeah.
and really rewarding
Correct.
yourself and learning something new out of it, right?
Yeah.
And if anything, right, it's just like a new way to generate ideas. It's like such a fun creative exercise, and you surprise yourself all the time. And I'm always constantly surprised by what Kevin does. It's so refreshing to see his posts and to see all the work that he generates. And then I have to always pinch myself and remind myself, hey, this guy is he's not an artist. He's a musician. Oh my god.
Not at all. So I mean, from a very practical point of view, it's also helped me because this year, it is a bit of a plug. So I've released a lot of music this year, so you can find my music on Spotify and stuff like that. So I've used Midjourney to create a lot of very interesting, eye-catching cover art, which in the past has always been a problem for me. It's like, oh, how do I come up with cover art without having to pay an artist to do it? So now I can just do it, and it's like really, really, really good, beautiful art that I can just generate. So actually, tomorrow, I have a new EP coming out on Spotify, so you can check it out under my name, Kevin Mathews. So you can look at the AI art that I come up for that cover. Quite cute.
Yeah, that's a really practical reason to do it, right? I mean, you
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
you don't
yeah.
need to get a designer and you don't need to brief anybody to do all that. You can just generate it yourself.
Yeah, and also I've been helping people, some friends with images for their presentation decks and things like that. Everything just with AI art, just with
Uh,
Midjourney.
so all that's very practical reasons to
Yeah,
use
yeah.
AI. Yeah, very practical.
Mm.
All right.
How long you been using Midjourney, Kevin?
Since March, I think. Yeah. It's
Oh,
about
a period.
yeah.
Wow.
I mean, Midjourney itself on Discord has only been around for a year. Yeah.
So it's not really that difficult for someone to pick up from scratch, is it? Right? I mean, if a non-artist like you picks it up in a matter of
Yeah,
months, right?
exactly. Yes. Yeah. I
Did
mean,
you
it's
like attend any formal tutorial, or you just learn as it goes?
So what I usually do is I will initial period, because a lot of things I didn't understand and it was quite frustrating, right? So the initial part is very crucial. You can always give up, right? So what I did was there are a lot of YouTube resources, let's put it that way. So I watch a lot of YouTube and I just pick up very fast. And I was fortunate in finding some of the very good YouTube, because sometimes you get these guys who talk nonsense, right? But there's this one guy who, in fact, this one guy who talked about Midjourney and he straight away recommended private server. And I think that was the best recommendation. So when I first came into Discord and I worked on that straight away, private server, and that has really been the way. Because previously I was using DALI and Stable Diffusion, the previous one, and it was not that great, to be honest, compared to Midjourney. Yeah.
Okay, so we're at time's up already, right? We've done our 1 hour of it's been a really fun session for us, and we actually hope to do this again. So if you want to give us any feedback on what you want to see, if you want to join us again, if you want to come back again, let us know. Please, DM me, hit us up, and let us know what you would like to do. Okay, so thanks
Yeah.
so much. Hope to see you guys again.
Yep.
We're gonna call it a night right here.